The story of the pyramids begins not with stone, but with the heart of humankind, the will to reach beyond the ordinary and carve eternity into the desert. Imagine standing in Egypt, thousands of years ago, when the desert was not only a land of sand but of gods, myths, and kings who dreamed of immortality. These kings, called pharaohs, believed they were chosen by the gods, and their lives were not measured in years but in legacies. And what greater legacy could there be than a monument that defied time itself? That was the dream that gave birth to the pyramids, giant mountains of stone built by human hands, each block weighing tons, yet lifted, shaped, and aligned with precision that even today leaves us in awe. When people today look at the pyramids, they often ask a single question: how? How did early humans, living thousands of years before cranes, bulldozers, or advanced machinery, lift and place blocks of limestone and granite weighing more than 2, 5, sometimes even 10 tons? Did they know secrets we have forgotten? Did they command knowledge lost in the sands of time? Or was it the simple triumph of human determination, organization, and ingenuity? To answer this, we must step back to a time when Egypt's deserts echoed not with tourists' voices but with the chants of workers, the strike of copper chisels against stone, and the rumbling sound of sledges dragging massive blocks across the sand. The story begins in quarries. The limestone blocks for the pyramids were not conjured out of thin air. They were cut, one by one, from nearby cliffs. Imagine a quarry at dawn. Dust rises as hundreds of men, barebacked under the sun, strike stone with tools of copper and dolerite, pounding and chipping, cutting deep grooves until the rock cracks and gives way. These were not slaves as many once believed. Recent studies and discoveries of workers' villages show that they were skilled laborers, organized into teams, fed with bread, beer, and onions, motivated not only by pay but by devotion to the pharaoh who was seen as divine. They worked in rotating shifts, carving blocks, loading them onto sledges made of wood, and preparing them for the long journey to the pyramid site. But here lies the mystery: how were these blocks moved? Some quarries were nearby, but others, like the granite blocks of Aswan, were hundreds of kilometers away. To move them, the ancient Egyptians devised methods that might seem simple but required immense coordination. Large sledges were built, and dozens of men pulled them with ropes made of papyrus fibers. On desert sand this might seem impossible, the weight would sink and drag, but the Egyptians had a trick. On tomb walls, archaeologists found paintings of workers pouring water on sand before pulling sledges. Wetting the sand reduced friction, allowing the heavy blocks to glide more easily. This knowledge of physics, applied thousands of years before modern science explained it, was one of the keys to their success. Once the blocks reached the site, the challenge shifted to lifting and placing them. A pyramid, after all, is not a flat structure but a rising giant, each layer stacked upon another, narrowing toward the sky. How did they raise these stones to such dizzying heights? Many theories exist, but the most accepted is the use of ramps. Imagine long, sloping ramps made of mud brick, limestone chips, and clay, rising alongside the pyramid. Workers dragged the blocks up these ramps, one after another, aligning them with astonishing precision. Some believe the ramps spiraled around the pyramid, others that they extended straight out for miles, gradually rising in height. Whatever their design, they were engineering marvels, requiring as much effort to build as the pyramid itself. At the top of the ramps, men with levers guided the blocks into place. It was delicate work. Each block had to be set flush with the next, gaps so small that even a knife blade could not pass between them. Without steel tools, how was this accuracy possible? The answer lies in patience, skill, and sheer manpower. Copper chisels shaped the stone, wooden mallets pounded them into alignment, and sighting rods helped surveyors ensure that each layer remained level. The Egyptians understood measurement in a way that still impresses us. The Great Pyramid at Giza, built more than 4,500 years ago, is aligned with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with uncanny accuracy, deviating only fractions of a degree. But the pyramids were not built in silence. They were born out of human sweat, voices, and lives. Imagine the workers' villages near Giza. Rows of houses, bakeries producing thousands of loaves each day, breweries bubbling with beer, physicians treating injuries, overseers keeping records on papyrus scrolls. This was a city of labor, a community formed around one colossal task. They worked for months, returned home, and another crew replaced them. This rotation kept the workforce steady and prevented exhaustion. It was not only men. Evidence shows that women contributed as well, preparing food, weaving rope, and tending to the workers. It was a society united in purpose, to build eternity for their king. Some might wonder, why such devotion? Why would tens of thousands dedicate their lives to moving stone for a single man's tomb? To understand this, we must look at the Egyptian view of life and death. To them, death was not an end but a journey, a passage to another world where the pharaoh would rule forever among the gods. The pyramid was more than a tomb, it was a stairway to heaven, a cosmic machine designed to connect Earth with eternity. Building it was an act of faith, a service to the divine, and in return the workers themselves believed they gained blessings and protection in this life and the next. And so, block by block, layer by layer, the pyramids rose. Imagine the sight as the Great Pyramid neared completion. 2.3 million blocks of limestone and granite, weighing nearly 6 million tons in total, stacked to form a mountain taller than any structure on Earth at the time. At its peak, gleaming in the sun, the pyramid was capped with a golden stone, reflecting rays of light across the desert, a beacon seen for miles. To the ancient Egyptians, it was not just a monument, it was the sun itself resting on Earth, a symbol of their pharaoh's eternal life. Even today, standing before the pyramids, one cannot help but feel small. Machines did not build them. Computer programs did not calculate their angles. It was human hands, human minds, and human willpower. It was people who woke at dawn, ate bread and beer, and marched into the heat to pull ropes, hammer stone, and align blocks. It was architects who studied the stars to orient the base. It was overseers who counted supplies and organized shifts. It was a civilization united in a vision larger than themselves. Over the centuries, myths have grown. Some say aliens built the pyramids, for how else could humans achieve such wonders? But the truth is even more incredible than fantasy. It was not visitors from the sky, it was us. Early humans, armed with nothing more than simple tools, knowledge of nature, and endless determination, achieved the impossible. They showed what humanity is capable of when driven by vision, faith, and perseverance. And so, the story of the pyramids is not only Egypt's story, it is humanity's story. It is the tale of how people, thousands of years ago, looked at the desert and decided to leave a mark that time itself could not erase. They cut stone from the earth, dragged it across the land, lifted it to the skies, and shaped it into mountains of eternity. The pyramids stand today not just as tombs of kings, but as reminders of human potential. They whisper across the ages that we are capable of greatness, that even with the simplest of tools, the human spirit can carve monuments that touch the heavens. The sands of Egypt shift, the Nile changes its course, empires rise and fall, yet the pyramids remain. Silent, eternal, watching over the desert, carrying the dreams of a civilization that lived and loved thousands of years ago. They remind us of a truth older than time, that no dream is too big when humanity stands together, that with vision and perseverance, even the heaviest of stones can be lifted, and even the harshest of deserts can give birth to eternity.